Hey guys, it's your host, Bailey Cartwright. Welcome to the Stronger Scars podcast, where I invite others to dive deep into the ups and downs of physical and mental scars. Hello everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the Stronger Scars podcast. Today we are joined with Jayna Fittipaldo. She was on like a year, I don't know, maybe like a year ago probably.
I think it was like a year ago today. Or not
No, it
today, but
wasn't.
not today. I was wrong. But like a year ago. Probably like in December
Yeah, it
was
was
the
around
year.
this time. But so I played club soccer with Jayna growing up, and she is just like one of those people who you just know is like a good person. And I feel like a lot has developed in her life since the last time she was on. We're gonna talk a little bit about her injury, but I want to just talk more about her life. And I think she is a really good role model in a lot of aspects. So without further ado, Jayna, welcome. Hello. Go ahead and introduce yourself if you'd like a little bit.
Hello everyone. Thanks for having me on, Bailey. Honestly, like the last time I was on, I loved like the experience I had with you and like doing the podcast. It was my first ever podcast. So I'm excited to be back. But like Bailey said, we played on Riverhounds together, and then I went on to play at the University of Illinois for 4 years. And while I was there, I tore my ACL, which is why I originally came on the podcast to talk about that injury. Um, and when that happened, I think it was my sophomore into my junior year. Um, I think that was a major growing point for me as a person. Um, and it's like kind of comical because now we're coming full circle and I'm growing again as a person. But yeah, so in that time when I tore my ACL, like I focused a lot. I obviously couldn't focus on soccer, so I had to point my like I don't know, my direction and my focuses were on other things, and I resorted to yoga and healthy eating habits and creating an Instagram where I use that as my outlet, and like my passion for my 9 months of recovery, which was a lot of fun. And now I'm finally getting back into it, which I love. So yeah, little background about me.
That was a great little summary of the episode, but I'm trying to find, here it is, the title, because the title of Jana's episode was called It's Okay Not to Struggle. And I think this is very interesting because, I mean, I'm going to tag the episode because I feel like go and listen to that one first before listening to this one if you have the time. Just because what I really loved about that conversation is one, like growing up, like we were like close, but we weren't like the bestest of friends on the team. And I feel like whether we just like at that age weren't having these conversations or like we just personally weren't having the conversations, I feel like I learned a lot about like how you handle things, which is very different than how I handle things. So like I remember we were talking about like you you weren't like having mental like health problems, like you were struggling and things were hard, but you weren't having mental health problems. And I think that is why I love that episode so much, because a lot of times it comes across as negative when people are talking about the hard things they go through, the mental health struggles they have, but it doesn't always have to be you have something wrong with you, like this is hard, so now you're diagnosed with something. So I just wanted to highlight that because I thought that you had a really good perspective on that, and it's an important perspective to have and bring to light.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that that was like the title of the episode, but I think it is like so true. I was just talking to someone like an hour before this, and I just said everyone's mind is so different, and like we are all different and unique in like our own ways, and we all handle things differently. Like I'll get into it, but like my outlet is something different than it is for someone else, and like that's so important to recognize. And like we can all talk about our struggles and how we handle things, but like at the end of the day you just have to figure out what works best for you.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think with that too is like I think allowing yourself to feel however you want to feel. I feel like there were a lot of times where I'd get so mad at myself because I felt like there was something wrong with me. Like I just like knew I wasn't myself. And instead of just like letting myself go through it and being upset, I would just get down on myself even more because I was so upset that I
Mm-hmm.
was handling it like I was.
Yep. Yeah, I think that like when you start to think, then that's when you overthink, and then you overanalyze, and then it's just like a revolving
Mhm.
cycle that like it's hard to break that habit. until you're back in like that headspace where you're like confident in what you're doing, and you feel good about what you're doing. But while you're in that like rut, it's definitely difficult. Our minds are tricky things.
A little bit too powerful sometimes. So, all right, let's move forward a little bit. So, again, if you guys want to hear like the entire injury story, there were a lot of pieces. Go and listen to the old episode because we're moving on, we're moving forward. But you are coaching your old high school team.
Yes, I am, and I love
Hear
every
about
single
that.
minute of
It's like that. Okay, so like if you guys have been listening for the last few weeks, I'm coaching 8 and 9 year olds and don't know how I feel about it. A little bit too young of age. But then I think like if I were to go and coach girls who were a few years younger than me, I would be intimidated. So what has that been like?
honestly, like I'm lucky because like the girls I'm coaching, like they I'm intimidated sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to mess up in front of them, or like I need to be the best I can be for them because I know they're looking up to me. But like they don't realize that like they're the ones that make my day. Like I show up to practice and they're like, oh my God, Jayna, how was your day? Like they put life into perspective for me. Like I'm like, oh, I should ask someone how their day is. Or they're like, Jayna, your hair looks beautiful today. I'm like, no one's told me that and I don't know how long. Like, thank you. Like I appreciate like they don't know what they do for me. And I think like that's the part that like I didn't really catch on to until this year. But you know, like you think about high school and you're like, oh, you know, teenage girls, like they can be, you know, ridiculous. Like I mean, imagine us in high school. Like, oh, we
I
were
don't want
definitely
to.
we were pains in the asses, whatever you want to say. But they're awesome. Like, I mean, we definitely have our ups and downs and our roller coasters, and like there's emotional days and there's hard days and stuff, but like they are all so sweet. And like at the end of the day, I want them to have the best experience and I want to be a part of that experience for them. And like to me, I don't care if you're the best soccer player or if you're the worst soccer player because I've been on both ends of the spectrum. So like that's why I wanted to coach to begin with because I've gone through personally both sides, and like the player that you are at the end of the day doesn't really matter. It's the type of person that you become. And like I want them all to become, you know, 10 times better than me. And like I just hope along the way that like I'm a little piece of light or like a guide for them. Um and that's like what I look forward to. Plus like it forces me to get out of like my day job. You know, I'm like, all right, I gotta go. I have to go coach a game. So
Yeah.
it's like my mental release as well.
That's so interesting. You said, you've been on both side of things. And this is like, I don't know how many times I will talk about like what I've been through, what you've been through. It doesn't get easier. Like it's a hard pill to swallow that like we all went off to college and like it's hard. I don't know how you feel about talking about it. For me, sometimes it just sucks. Like I'm just like, what just happened? Like sometimes I look back and like literally what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lesson. Seriously, what a lesson that we learned. I mean, to feel like being the best on your team, the best of whatever, and then to feel in the complete opposite of not even playing, it really does give you perspective. And I think like that is something that I would want in my coach to understand that like I want to be treated the same whether I play or not. I want to be treated the same whether I'm hurt or not, whether I'm the star or I'm not. Like it doesn't really matter. And like you said, just like the building the character, like building who they are as a person. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I've told like the girls, I've sat them down and I said, girls, listen, like, because I wanted them to understand and know like why I'm doing what I'm doing. Um, I told them straight up, I was like, high school club team, I was the captain. I was this, I played every minute of every game, and like I was that best player on the quote unquote best player on the team. And then, you know, I get to college and no, I never even like I didn't come off the bench. Like I didn't do anything. And like that was a hard, like you said, that's a hard pill to swallow. But I wanted them to know that like I was in for the girls that play every minute of every game. I was in your shoes, but also for the girl that's on JV and doesn't and barely gets in, I was also in your shoes. So like you need to understand, I want them to understand that like I've been through both and like I understand and can hopefully help validate both of your feelings. Like I want them to be able to come talk to me because at the high school level it's so important to have like I feel like a female, not your mom, not your sisters, like someone else that they can go to and like, you know, just share their emotions and vent.
I'm kind of
It's like
curious.
so important.
This isn't something I thought through, but I'm curious listening to you talk. How do you prepare somebody for the reality that they could potentially go off and not play or not meet their expectation? How do you prepare them for that without killing the dream?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, I've never been asked this question before, but like I think you have to be honest with yourself
Mm-hmm.
or like honest with them and just like lay it out. Be like, this is your goal. Go reach, if that is your goal, do everything in your power to get to that goal. But you also have to realize that like you could do everything in your power and still not get there because of someone else's actions or thoughts or preconceived notions of you. Like, and I think that's at the point where like I was at, and that's why I was at the end of the day, I was satisfied with how my career ended in a way because I knew I gave it my all. And it wasn't because of, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't because of something I was doing. I felt like there was an outside reason as to why
Mm-hmm.
things happened the way they did. And like, that's why I say, like, go visit as many schools as you can. Go really, like, I didn't do a good enough job of like diving into like the deeper parts of each school. I was like, oh, I love Illinois. I got chills when I walked on campus. Like, I love the scenery, I love the team, but I didn't ask the coaches enough questions. But I also didn't know what questions to ask. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess that's what, when I talk to the girls I train or I coach, I I tell them like ask the hard questions. Don't just jump the gun. Like I tell them like you need to really like the coach.
Yeah.
You need to make sure and because what the coach is going to show you is a facade as to what it really is like. I don't care what coach you are, I don't care what school you go to, everything that they show you is a facade on a recruiting trip. So like you have to really dig deep and ask the hard questions and like take the time to do that. You don't have to be the first to commit. Be the freaking last one to commit. It doesn't matter. Like
We're all
at
in
the
a
end of the,
race.
yeah, we were all in a race to commit. And at the end of the day, like the person that committed last had the best career. So I guess that's like what I tell them. Like I tell them to, you know, do what you can to get where you want to be, but like not everything's up to you. You can't pick and choose who starts. Like that's a coach's decision. If you're giving it your all, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, you know?
I want to comment on this because I agree 100%. But you know my dad. You know our philosophy. It's the climb. Like you do what it takes to get where you want to be. And I love this. I love how like and not just me, I feel like our entire where we're from, what we were raised on, like I feel like we all kind of have the philosophy of like dream big and don't stop until you get there. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I'm not gonna ever act like I don't love that. But where that bit me in the butt was I couldn't I couldn't disassociate like me giving everything I have, like you said, and me not being successful. I completely thought that like the only way for me to give everything I had was if I was being successful. And that was really, really hard for me because, like after my high school career, I had all of the expectations in the world. And no matter how hard I worked, it just didn't matter. And that it's hard. And I think what you said about, like you can't blame yourself if things don't go as planned. If you are giving it 100%, like that is
Mm-hmm.
something that people need to hear more.
Yes. No, I agree like 100%. And we are like, we're from Pittsburgh. We are like the blue collared, like you grind, like we're the grinders. Like I don't care what team you go and play on. If you're from you're from our area, like you are the hardest working person on that team. Like that's just how we grew up. Like I don't even know how to explain it. I truly believe like that's just like the philosophy that lives around here. And that's why I love Pittsburgh so much.
I agree.
Um, but like, you're right. Like we do associate like hard work with success. And like sometimes like you could bust your butt. I mean, even in the real world, like I'm busting my butt and like there's still problems every day. Like you can relate it to so many aspects. And I think we have to learn or unlearn that hard work doesn't always equal success, or it does equal success, but it's like
Different way.
2-3 years down the line, that success might not be in what you were hard working at. The success might be in you becoming a better person.
Yep.
Or, you know, there's like a bigger picture sometimes that you don't see.
I 100% agree. You nailed that. All right, moving onward. So let's talk a little bit about like, I gotta say, like, Jayna is very active and very good at being active. And like, honestly, like, you motivate me. Like, I look at your Instagrams, I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl's at yoga. She's at F45 at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's encouraging. And I think this is the part about like retiring, not really like having a set practice time in my life that I struggle with is like, I don't want to work out. I'm tired. I've worked out for the last 23 years of my life. Like, I just want to chill. So, how do you motivate yourself? Like, I want to know the inside tea here.
How I motivate myself. Well, I will say, like, when I got to college, like, I became like more obsessed with working out. Like, I always loved working out. I always loved going to practice. But when I got to college, I really focused on like my health. And I think that's where my discipline really like started and carried on. And now being in like the workforce for almost 2 years, like obviously my discipline and like my routine had to change. And if I'm being honest, my routine has gone like in circles, like a gazillion. Like I haven't, every couple months my routine changes, but I always make sure that like movement is a part of my routine. Um, and I, like every I was talking to Bailey before we started this, but like everyone's way of coping with things and dealing with things is different. For me, working out is like my decompressor, it's my stress reliever, where someone else that might be sitting on the couch watching TV, or that might be going and getting a drink with a friend or reading a book. But like for me, working out and sweating is my release. I don't care if I have to wake up early to work out because I know I'm going to feel so much better. Like not just physically, but like mentally, my head's clear and I'm in a much better space. Or, all right, I'm too tired. I'm going to work out tonight and I don't care because yes, my night's going to be taken up partially, but like I'm going to feel good after. I
Mm-hmm.
can go home, get a shower and relax the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, like everyone's different and by no means is like working out something you have to do 7 days a week or 6 days a week or whatever. But like my biggest thing is creating a routine. Find a routine that works for you. If 3 weeks or 3 days a week is enough for you, then make 3 days a week. Like make it a priority. Or maybe that's what you start with. Start with 3 days a week. Do like, okay, I'm gonna work out Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Just something for you. Just because like what what I'm doing doesn't mean someone else has to do what I'm doing, you know? But like picking up on bits and pieces of what other people do, I feel like can help. And like you said, motivate. Like that is my goal. I post things to motivate people. I don't post things to be like, oh, I want the attention. Like I'm posting things because I want people to like, see it and be like, oh, okay, I'm capable of going and doing this too.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely testify that when I get up in the morning, that's the thing. Like if I get up in the morning and go to the gym, like I feel great and I can do it. If I wait until like after school, after work to work out, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like I can't do it. I cannot bring myself to do it. I think I'm just so exhausted at that point. Like I just have to get it done in the morning first thing.
Yep. And like, so with working, um, like I have to be at work at 6:45. So like for me to work out in the morning, I have to wake up at 4:30. Like if I go to a workout class, it has to be at 5 or 5:30. If I work out at home, I have to start working out at 4:30. But again, like it becomes a routine. It's like a discipline thing. You have to be disciplined for it. And I know like I might get out of bed and be like, oh, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this right now. But as soon as 5:45 hits and I'm done, I'm like, that was so worth it because I'm awake now. My workout's done for the day and I feel so much better.
Mm-hmm. Good
It's
advice.
just like the first like 5 minutes, like getting up and doing it is like the biggest step.
So I'm for own reasons, I'm curious, like what does a 7-day week of workouts look like for you?
So it has changed recently, I would say, in like the past month. So I was a 7 day a week workout person.
Wow.
Don't ask me why. Um, but I loved it. Like, people say like your body needs a break, your body needs a break, but like, I don't know.
Mhm.
But I will say now that I'm giving myself a break, like 1 day a week, I don't feel any differently. Like, I mean, my body feels fresher, but like I don't feel like I gained weight. I don't, like those like types of things. Like it's actually good for me, like mentally and physically, to take a day off. So Mondays are normally like a strength day for me. So I go to sweat and do like a power class normally, or I come home and I do like a 20-minute run and
Saw that on
weightlifting.
Instagram. All it takes is 20.
Yes. Yes. All it takes is 20 minutes. And that's what I did this Monday. And because I like to sleep in Monday mornings because it's like start of the week, whatever. I started going to Orange Theory on Tuesday mornings. So I go to Orange Theory at 5 on Tuesday mornings. And if, for those of you that don't know, Orange Theory has like treadmills, rowers, and a weight floor. So you kind of get like a cardio hit strength class all in one, which is why I love it.
Mhm.
And it's very like for athletes. I think it's a great post-career workout place to go. Um, Wednesdays are normally my running days. So I'll run, whether that's like a 30-minute walk on incline or it's a 30-minute run, get as far as I can, type of thing. However, yesterday I did yoga. That was my workout for the day. So a little different. Um, Thursday mornings, I do Orange Theory. And then Friday mornings, I do cycle at
Mhm.
5:30. So it's still cardio, but I'm not putting my legs through like as much pounding. And then Saturdays, I do like a hit and run type of, and I do it on my own. I use the Healthies app. Um, Kylie Ross created it. She played at Baylor, and it's like $100 for the year, and you get unlimited workouts. It is like the most amazing app ever. I love it. Like I use it for all my like home workouts. Um, and then I take Sundays off. Sundays used to be my long run days, but I have since just halted that and have taken rest days on Sundays. So I wake up like early 3 to 4 days a week to work out.
My my instinct question is how expensive does this get?
Hmm. Yeah. I'm lucky because I'm living at home.
Mhm.
So I for memberships I pay like 200 a month for gym memberships.
Well, I guess I mean if that's all of them together, like
So like sweat is unlimited. I could go to
oh.
30 sweat classes. And then Orange Theory, I get 8 classes a month. But that's more than enough for me because I only like to go 2 days a week. Like Orange Theory isn't a class that I could do every day. I love it, but like it's just not something I want to do every single day because I like to switch it up. So that works out perfectly. Like if I get 8 classes a month, it's 2 classes a week, and then um, Sweat, like I said, provides so many different classes that I could take as many as I wanted. So
Mhm.
like I look at it as like that's my like health and wellness. Like I'm putting my health, I'm paying for my health, so I don't care.
Mhm.
Just like I would spend extra money on healthy food.
Mhm. I know. Nick and I have like we've recently been talking about Orange Theory just because like I feel like you drive by and they're everywhere and like everyone has nothing bad to say about them. But like again, I was telling Jayna earlier, like I am one of those people who just have a fear of going into a workout class, not knowing anybody, not knowing what I'm doing. I don't know, it's just like kind of intimidating. Kind of speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say I was the same way for a long, long time. Um, I'd have my mom go with me or like a friend here or there, but I would say more recently, like I've had more and more friends come to workout classes with me, and it's so much more enjoyable. It was like probably 2 months ago. I was supposed to go to a class with Brittany Pala, and she texted, and it was a place I had never been. She
Mhm.
had gone there, and I signed up. I paid for the class, and she texted me like the middle of the day. She's like, Jayna, I'm sick. I cannot go. And I'm like, well, this is my workout for the day, and I paid for it, so I'm going. But like, I was scared shitless. Like, it still happens to me, even though I go to like 8 bazillion places. Um, so I went, and like I felt so out of place at first. Like, I walked in, I was like, I don't know where to sign in. I don't know, like, anything. So I change, and there's all the clicks in the locker room, and I'm like just standing there like, okay, what do I do next? And then I walk into the room, and like everyone's on a treadmill on the floor, and I'm like, no one's showed me, what,
Yeah.
like, where I should go, what I should do. So I just asked some random girl that I saw that checked in like right behind me. And I was like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. I've never been here. Like, can you just explain to me like what I'm supposed to do? And like after she did that, like I was fine the rest of class. But like that took so much out of me to like go up to some random person and like ask for help, because like I never want to ask for help. But like I felt good after, because I stepped out of my comfort zone. Like it's all about, I've learned like stepping out of our comfort zone right now is like, especially at our age, is so important, because like we're still learning and growing as like a person, and like we have to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Mhm.
And like in the end, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, I'm glad I did that. Or else I would have been clueless the whole class and felt like so, you know, misplaced because I didn't speak up. Like, just speak up and just go do it. But it's easier if you go do it with someone. So like invite a friend for the first time and then go, or something like that.
I don't know. I want to do one. I also saw, I know you do F45. I've seen good things about that too, but
I liked F45. The thing with F45 though is like it's so fast paced, and you're at your own station. So like you're with, like, you could go with someone. It would be good to go with someone so that you guys can like be together. But like everything is on your own at the end of the day. Like I went with Michaela Livingston, but like we didn't talk the whole time because we were in two different groups. Like we went together, but like we ended up being in two different groups. So it was like, I mean, which was fine, but like it's a class where like you don't have time to even think about messing up or like thinking about like, oh, what am I going to look like, because everyone is going as fast as you are.
interesting.
So yeah, but I love trying new workout places.
Yeah, I feel
If
like
you have the
that's,
money and the time to do it, I would do it.
yeah. I mean, I think that's, I mean, it's a very like up and coming thing in our time. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to give it a try. I feel like it's not only a good workout, but I think that the social aspect is something that I lack right now and could probably use. So we'll see.
That's a good, I mean, that's how I use a lot of my like social interactions or workout places, and then like going to do something afterwards. But it like fills my cup. So
Okay, so last time we talked about your food Instagram account and like
mhm.
your relationship with food and just like finding what works for you and like the benefits of this and that. And I just think that that is something we haven't really talked about in the podcast a lot, but I think what you put into your body, what you fuel yourself with plays, whether you're injured or you're healthy and you're trying to get to a point where you want to be, it plays a very, very important role. So kind of just talk about your journey with food and like where you're at with it now, like give us some tips, like kind of just interpret it however you would like. I'm just kind of curious your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think health and food, like more food, is almost more important than like the workout itself. Um, for like your body purposes and like being healthy. Um, I will say my relationship with food hasn't always been what it was, because I would say right now my relationship with food isn't great, if I'm being honest. But
Mhm.
like going back to high school, like I didn't have a good relationship with food. I didn't eat breakfast. Like my dad would force me to eat breakfast. Like I would cry going to school, like because he'd send me with a kind bar. I didn't want to eat a freaking 90-calorie kind bar. I don't know what the heck was wrong with me. And then like I'd go to lunch and I'd have a rice cake with peanut butter and 12 almonds and an apple. Like I was so like not for going to play Division 1 soccer, like that was not okay. Going to college, once I tore my ACL, like I would say going to college, my relationship with food got better because I went and I saw someone. And then my best friend from college, she was a dietetic major. I don't know what you would call it. Um, she really like got me hooked onto like eating healthy, and like it's something we bonded over. Like we cooked dinner together almost every night and stuff. Um, and that like really changed my relationship with food. And then once I tore my ACL, my relationship with food got even stronger because I knew I couldn't work out. Like, so how else was I going to heal? Well, that was by putting healthy foods into my body, which is then why I started my Instagram, and I just essentially posted everything that I ate. And I loved that. And like for 2 years of college, 2.5 years, like that's all I did. And I never stepped on the scale. Like I didn't care about, I mean, besides like when we had to get body scans for soccer or whatever, but like I didn't ever myself like step on the scale and be like, oh, I just want to weigh myself, because it wasn't about the number for me. It was about how I felt. Like I knew when I was like, oh, I'm feeling crappy and bloated, like I need to cut back on something or maybe take out dairy or, whatever it may be. Um, and then I graduated, started working full time, which is so different. Like, food, my workouts changed, like my routine of eating changed. And I've gone like this with eating while working. I meal prepped for like a year and a half. First, it was salmon and broccoli and rice, and then it was salmon, broccoli, and quinoa, and then it was just salmon and broccoli. But I added oatmeal for breakfast. Like I wasn't eating breakfast, then I started eating breakfast, but I always made sure I had a protein and a veggie at lunch. Like that was so critical to me. And then like whether I had a carb or not, I didn't really care. You probably should. For me, it wasn't like a critical thing. And then I just had obviously whatever I had for dinner. But the things I always focus on are like I always want to make sure I have a protein first and foremost. I always want to make sure I have a veggie or a fruit, and then a carb. Especially like if I work out in the morning, I'm like I definitely need a carb to like energize myself because I just burned, all that energy. But I will say the past like 4 or 5 months, my relationship with food has been really bad. Like I just, with everything that has like, gone on, whatever, I didn't like food was my last priority, and I'm mad at myself for that. And I'm like slowly trying to like get back into focusing on eating healthy, but like I stopped meal prepping. So I just have leftovers from dinner for lunch, which is perfectly fine. But like that's so different than what I was used to. I sometimes go until 2 p.m. without eating. Like that's awful. Like for me to work out in the morning and then not eat till 2, like so I don't want people to like look at me like, oh, she's, perfect, or she has like everything figured out. I do not have everything figured out, and I struggle just as much as other people. And like I eat dinner every day. I mean, I eat 2 meals a day. I do. It just depends on when I eat them. Um, and it's a struggle, but like I tell people, like it's all about like just starting and getting into a routine. I need to tell myself that with food. To like Jane, I get into a routine of meal prepping again and starting that process, because once I'm in a routine, I'm fine. I'm a creature of habit. So like once I get going, I'll be okay, but I have to get going,
Yeah. No, I agree. And like, I feel like I think anyone would be lying if they said they didn't have a day where they struggled with their food, whether it be like just getting enough of it, like enjoying it, like not feeling guilty for eating. Like that's kind of just the nature of how it goes, especially females. Like it's tough sometimes. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
all been there. We've all struggled with it. I feel like the one thing that we've really been focusing on lately is, and like maybe this is not the right comment, but like or not that, but maybe I'm wrong. But we only shop at Whole Foods now. and like only buy organic. And I just like, regardless of how I look, I feel better. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like cutting out processed crap, like only buying like organic or like low ingredient, non-processed stuff. Like I just feel so much better.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's a wrong comment at all. Like, if I'm being honest, like I don't grocery shop because I live at home. If I grocery shopped, I would be shopping at Whole Foods and I would be buying organic,
Mhm.
100%. Um, because I agree with you, like eating whole foods, eating like non-processed foods or less sugary foods makes a world of difference. Like I posted on my story today, I'm like, I can't get rid of these pimples on my chin. Well, I think it's because I've been eating candy. Like I've been eating more processed foods than I should be. I again, like I haven't been focusing on my food, and like food affects everything. Like affects, it affects everyone differently, but like for me personally, like I can tell in my skin when I'm eating like really good versus when I'm eating like poorly.
Mhm.
So
Also, too, in like in today's economy, I kid you not, shopping at Whole Foods is literally the same price, especially like pro tip, get Amazon Prime, scan it at checkout, you get 10% off. Like you're just like it's just better for you. It's the same price. Like I feel like it's dumb to not if you have the ability to shop and get Whole Foods, like just get yourself the healthier things. Like you'll feel better now and in the long run.
yes, 100%. I agree.
Okay, my last little snippet I want to discuss is just like attitude, like just the way you carry yourself, the way that you deal with adversity. Um, I was creeping on your Instagram because I was just like, I haven't really caught up with her in a while. Let me see what's going on. And I saw so many comments, people just saying like you literally radiate positivity, like you're smiling, you're bright, like you're just you're this new person of happiness, and like not just the happiness you put on for social media, but the real kind of happiness. And I want to hear your input on this and like where that comes from and how you got there, because I think that's a goal that everyone wants to be at.
Yeah, and I think like when I see people post that, like I know I'm being me right now. I know that like I'm in a much better place. I know that I'm happy. I know that I'm growing as a person and that makes me so happy. But like I don't even think that like I realize the change that like I don't even think I've realized completely like how much I've changed. Like I think from the outside people can see that. So when I see that I'm like, "Oh, that's like a really nice comment. Thank you." But like I haven't recognized that myself yet. I know I'm getting there, but like that hasn't hit me yet. Um and I honestly like I don't know. I feel like I give a lot of credit to like my parents um for just like creating the environment that they have like our entire lives or my entire life, like just the way that I grew up and we grew up. um every and I said this in my most recent post, like everyone goes through shit in their life, whether that's like a a really really hard thing like with a significant other or a family member or um like within yourself, like everyone goes through something. And it's like how the way I look at it is like, how am I going to respond to this situation? Am I going to let it tear me down? Am I going to let it like ruin my life? Or am I going to become a better person because of it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like, I don't, I'm just like me. Like, I don't look at myself as like, oh, I'm going to try and like be this happy, smiley, like radiate positivity type. Yes, that's what I want to do. But like, when I post something, I'm not like, oh, I want to like put on this happy smiley face. Like whatever I'm posting is literally like it. I don't pre-plan it
Mm-hmm.
most of the time. I don't pre-plan it, but like I like something comes into my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post it. Like it just literally like whatever you see is that's what's on my mind in that moment, and that's what I'm doing because I like, oh, okay, it would be important for someone to maybe someone needs to hear that today.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, today I reposted this girl. She said, "You can do anything, but not everything." And I was like, someone definitely needs to hear that today. That's why I'm reposting it. Because like for me, that's something I would need to hear. Like I'm someone that feels like I have to do everything. I have to cross off everything on my list. And like, I don't know, that's just like an example of like, I look to so many other people for inspiration and like use that as positivity for me to help me grow, help me become a better person. Um, and I just want to share that like with everyone else. I don't know if that answered your question or not,
Well,
but
I think
like,
that's good. And I want to bring this up because this is when you started talking, this just kind of made me want to speak on this. I think so. I'm comparing me and you right now. So I look at Jayna, and Jayna has always been a positive, happy person. She was the captain of our club team and like just always like wanted to bring people together, was just like very passionate, but like in a way of not bringing other people down. And so like now you've had this growth, and I feel like yes, from the outside you can see it, but I feel like your growth is very personal. Like it's very within, because to the out, for me at least, from the outside you've always been that happy person. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Me, when I was younger, I had an attitude. I mean like I wouldn't go back and change things because I am where I am now because of things, but I wasn't the person that I'm proud that I was. And I feel like my growth after my injury in my life, like mine was a very external. I don't know if this makes sense, but I think this is just something I want to bring up because growth has no like there is no perfect measurement of growth. There is no perfect way that you need to grow. There's no guidelines. It is so different from person to person. But what is important is you have to grow. You have to go through these hard things in your life. You have to go through whatever you're challenged with, and you have to grow from them. Because if you don't, you're just going to end up being somebody you don't like, somebody you're not proud of, that you aren't going to look back one day and show your kids and be like, I'm proud of this change in my life. So I just wanted to highlight that because I am a very firm believer that we'll talk about Jayna's tattoo, but things happen in your life for a reason. You're dealt cards for a reason. And like me and Jayna are talking about this, like you don't maybe know it right then and there what it's going to be for, but there's a reason. And, you know, if you're somebody listening to this and you're going through something really hard in your life, challenge yourself to just grow from it, however that looks to you.
You know, and your comparison of like yours was like an external growth and mine was like an internal growth. I get that completely. Like some people go through, like, for example, your growth was external because you use this podcast as you're growing, in my eyes, right? Like you put your experience out there and you're you're growing with it, you're still growing with it, you're doing amazing things with it. For me, I'm more of a shy internal, like I have to handle it myself and understand it myself before I like go to the world with whatever I'm dealing with or grow, how I'm growing. And like that's just again, like everyone's different. That's how you grow. I grow and I grow personally, I feel like I grow by trying to help other people like without even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
um, and like viewing things from a different perspective. You shared your perspective to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hey, there were
And
things
no, there's
like,
no right or wrong.
right, and there were things like I'm sure like from when I started this journey, I think it's really been like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I'm sure there's things that I would look back on now and be like, ugh, why did I put that out there for people to see? Why did I say that? But like, that is how I express what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through. And like, the people I've met, the things I do, like, it's all part of that journey for me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think that was real. I never looked at it in that way, but I think that was a really good way to look at it.
So, what does your tattoo say?
So my tattoo says, you almost spilled the beans before. Um, Everything happens for a reason. And I, more than ever, am like a firm believer in that. That has always been like my mom's saying. Like I've had a couple like hard times in my life, and one being when my mom um, got sick, and when she did that, her saying was, "Everything happens for a reason." Like she, like I'm not going to go into the details, but like she no one else believed it, but she believed it and she got through it. And she was like, this is happening for a reason. Don't know why it's happening to me, but it is happening. It's one of the worst things that can happen to me, to our family. And she beat it. She got out of it and grew from it. My college soccer career, is it how I wanted to go? No. But do I think if it didn't go the way it went, I would be the person I am today? Absolutely not. Because of how I was treated, the experiences I went through is now why I'm the person I was slash am. And then like the most recent thing I've gone through, like that happened for a reason. And I am seeing that reason now. And I'm like, happier than ever. And like things were placed in my life at the right moment, at the right time, just exactly how they needed to be, without me even like expecting it or really wanting it. And like that saying, everything happens for a reason, just like hits home even more now. And when that happened, I looked at my mom and I'm like, that's going to be my next tattoo. I had been wanting a tattoo for a long time, another tattoo. And I was like, now's the time to get it. So I got it right on the back of right above my elbow, on the back of my left arm. And I'm so happy I had it, because like, even on days where like I struggle or I'm like, I don't understand, like I'm an overanalyzer. So I replay things in my head and I'm like, nope, don't overthink it. You are where you are now because of, whatever. And it happened for a reason. God was looking out for you. God was, you know, doing that. You might have, never understood why, and you probably still don't completely understand why. But like right now in this moment, you have grown so much and it happened for a specific reason. And it's just a saying that I live by and I love living by.
No,
So
I love when people get meaningful tattoos. Someday in my life, I would love to get the climb on me. I just like haven't, because I don't know. I'm not a tattoo girl. I want to be. I love when they have a meaning, but I don't know. I just love those little mottos. Like I feel like it makes life easier to go through things when
mhm.
you can just look at something and be reminded of where you were and where you're going.
Yes, 100%. And I love the climb. Like that song comes on and I jam out to that song. I don't care how old it is. It's like I am not a singer, but every time it comes on, it's one of my favorites.
It just has such a good meaning. It really does.
It does.
Um,
Yes.
anything you want to talk about? I missed any questions? Anything? Your spotlight's yours.
I don't think so. I think you touched on like really good points. I just like want people to know that like just because it's like what I say doesn't mean that's what you have to do. I'm just giving like bits and pieces of advice that like worked for me, and hopefully you can take some piece of whatever I said out of this hour-long conversation and um you know help better your life or someone else's life. You're like, oh, this podcast reminded me of someone. All right, let me go like reach out to them today or give them a positive quote, or I don't know. I just want to inspire one person every day. I think that's my goal, somehow, somewhere.
Final, two final comments. One, I think I liked how this was a bit different of just me sitting here and talking to somebody about their injuries. I think these all of these things that we talked about, like the fitness, the health, food that you're fueling yourself with, these are all things that, whether it played into your injury or if it's an aftermath of your injury, just like how you've grown as a person, I think we can both speak that like our injuries were a pivotal point in those things in our lives. Um, but like if you're listening, I challenge you, pick one of these areas and work on it. Like tell yourself, I'm gonna work on eating healthier foods. I'm gonna work on going to the gym 3 times a week, like we talked about. I think, take something tangible with you, see if it works for you, work on it. And then my last point, you just said something that I have been wanting to talk about for weeks now. You said reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. And this is something I want to challenge myself to do. So like maybe we can all kind of challenge ourselves to do, but I like want to reach out to people from like high school, people who haven't talked to in a while that like I've just been thinking about, And I get nervous. I'm like, no, they don't want to hear from me. They'll just like look at it and be like, I'm not responding. But
No, don't think like that.
I am going to challenge myself. I really, because I have changed and like I'm a good person. Like I'm very happy with who I am today. And I think about people a lot and like I have so much goodness in my heart that I want to share. And I really want to challenge myself to just reach out to people who I haven't talked to before. So I think I'm going to try to do one person a week.
I think that's a good plan. And quite honestly, like I subconsciously, I think, challenge myself to do that. Like I see someone post a story and I'm like, oh, I haven't like, you know, commented or like talked to them in a while, or I like that story. All right, I'm gonna like swipe, say something. Or like I see their story and I'm like, oh, let me text them and see what they're up to. Like if they ignore me, they ignore me. Okay, like whatever. I mean, I think my feelings would be hurt a little bit, but like I don't know. It's good to just like catch up to people. So yeah, one time a week is that's a good goal. It's a good if you're Catholic, it's a good Lent.
Mm,
You don't always have to give something up. You can like
give get more of
yeah.
it.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
like that. Well, I think that's all I have. So, Jayna, I learned a lot. I hope the listeners learned a lot, and I truly do miss you. Like next time we're all in the same area, we need to like catch up and do something. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and I hope I inspired at least one person today.